Okay, so here we are at the peer review house, and Eric is the peer review chairman. Eric, tell us what we're doing right now.
What we're going to do right now is we're going to go over the conditions that we found today. We've been through the house as a committee. We've evaluated all the conditions in the house. Now we sit down and we decide what are the most important items that we feel should be revealed by our candidates who are taking the IBR. We are not going to be including more mundane conditions. These are the most significant issues that could involve safety or cost. Okay,
and what kind of standards do you follow basically?
This is strictly according to the ASHI standards of practice. We stick to that standard, even though we might see conditions that we feel are important. If they exceed the standards for what we're doing today, we just stay to those standards. We don't look for the conditions that exceed the standards.
Okay, but we might talk about them.
Yeah, these conditions that maybe we don't put in as a must find. That's not to say they should be ignored. We often will find things that should be included in a report, and again, that would be going beyond the standards, but this is important for any inspector to know. Yeah, exceeding the standards is really quite important.
Okay, and who's on your committee here, starting to your right?
We've got Hank Sander, Jenny Uhouse. We've got George Megan, our illustrious leader. And we've got, mine part here. Dean. And
Dave is his name.
Mr. Yost.
Mr. Yost.
Mr. Dave.
And our long time is Paul Bossenbrook. And our photographer is the charming Frank Lesh.
Can you see him in the mirror? No. Okay, thanks, Eric. Okay, we're here with Paul Bossenbrook, and he's going to talk a little bit about the exterior of the house. And Paul, what can you tell us about here?
Anytime you have 3/4 of an inch on concrete elevated, that's a trip hazard. Right here and right here. You could knock out this with your heel or something like that. And I think right here is a trip hazard too. This is patio stones. This is a trip hazard. Okay. I don't know when this house was built, but it's old, and the exterior is brick, and it was raised. You see the two types of brick, one up there, one down here, and there's a little bit of masonry step crack down here for it. Above the doors, there's rusty lintels here and over there. Okay, and I don't know when this house was raised at all, but what is that right there?
That could be an oil fill pipe. I'm not sure. Could have been oil originally.
Okay.
Paul, let me ask you something about the rusting lintels, though. What's the significance of that?
Well, when they rust out further, they will raise this. This crack will be enlarged.
So they expand and it allows water to get in?
So you could stainless steel or brush that off with a stainless steel brush and paint it with Rust-Oleum, okay? And then so it won't rust, paint it again in 5 years or something like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so anything else on the front?
This is kind of unlevel. You take a sight glass about by the rock, and it's kind of unlevel. I don't know what the significance of that is, but yeah. The backside is painted.
Okay.
And paint is flaked off.
Okay, let's go look at that.
All right.
So we're at the back of the house now, Paul. What can you tell us here?
Well, according to me, the flaking of this paint is kind of significant. It's lead-based paint, and if you have a young kid and eats that, and he will have lead in the system, which is not good at all. Okay, and the whole floor, the basement, the first floor and the second floor is all painted brick. Yeah, and that's a significant hazard.
Well, Paul, what about the fact that we've got this deterioration here? What is that significant of?
Could be moisture from the inside working itself onto the outside. You should hire a mason to tuck point that. Be careful of this, and you should scrape this into a plastic bag, or you should have a lead abatement contractor take care of that.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, great. And what do they call this? Spalling? Is that
Spalling.
what-
This is a spalled brick. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. And here's a spalled brick back here too. It's all spalled.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Great. Okay. Well, thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay, Hank, we're in the front of the house now. Tell us about these stairs and this deck here.
So this one here obviously is newer construction. Somebody had some good carpentry skills, but not quite decking skills. A good decking contractor will look at the cuppage of the boards so it doesn't hold water, how they're attaching so everything doesn't ride out. We have carriage bolts that crush the wood and allow water entry. Everything should be through bolting. So in here, this could actually be from a little bit of water entry, expanding, contracting. It's giving us the shake in the wood. Again, the stair assemblies, this is not proper because this eventually will split down the bolt line. We don't have any positive stair decking attachment to the framing. No drop header at all over here on this one. The posts and the base are below grade level. They're supposed to be 4 to 6 inches above ground. So we don't really know even if we have proper foundation hardware here. The bolting going into the house is supposed to be a minimum of 1/2 inch. You can tell by the bolt heads that these are 3/8. We need 2 per bay opening, or 2 for every 16 inches. And they need to be staggered. So as we can see out here, we do have a split in here, starting in the header, the ledger board over here. There's a little gap behind it, and it seems like when you come around on this side, it's attached to the old framing, and it's actually pulling away and pulling on the brick. We got a little bit of deflection starting there. So again, newer construction, but you could still find a lot of issues with the deck or stoops in a porch.
Wow, that's great. Very intuitive. Thank you. Okay, we're here on the middle deck, and Hank, what do you find here?
So here in this middle portion, we have several issues. Again, we don't have any flashings. We had caulk sealing along the edges, which your ledger board is going to be compromised at that point from water. The other thing is your step up and your decking should not be level due to snow load, because that's going to transfer moisture into the structure. There should always be a step down. Coming over to here is, if you're trying to orientate yourself, there's no graspable railings, so it's kind of a safety measure. Some splintering wood is always, if you're out here in bare feet, or it could also be a trip hazard. You got to look at that. Again, the whole wall assembly has moved. You can see it was cocked around this little bolt right here. But anyway, I mean, and again, there's no way that this is going to handle, if somebody hit this, a 250-pound lateral load. And then coming down, again, no railings. And then we come down to the lower portion. Again, the ledger board, as far as we can tell, is only nailed. We don't see the through bolting, no lateral load connectors. Severely corroded hardware. It's going to lose a lot of its stability. Improper framing here. We got plywood for a drop header, no stair stringer attachments over here. Just a lot of safety issues with this deck. This would not sustain longevity and is already starting to show quite a bit of deterioration and rot, the wall moving. Safety hazards. Over here, oh, very importantly, these, gotta look at this. This was really kind of hard to see. So only one of these two beams are resting on this 6x6. This other one that has the beam assembly attached to it is only on this one here. So there's no, this whole structure is really not resting on this bit. We're relying on nails to hold up this whole structure. There's no, the rim joists are not supported correctly. This whole structure is compromised here in the outer rim joists of the decking.
Great, that's a great tips there. Thanks, Hank. Okay, we're up here on the upper deck with Hank. Hank, what do you see up here?
So going over some of this decking problems here, that's things that you definitely cannot miss. Here it is. This railing, there's no way if somebody was leaning up against this, it's going to hold them quite dangerous, and as you can see, it's quite a fall. Again, flashings and ledger board attachment. You could really see the start of the deterioration in there along the ledger board. That's got to go down because there's no flashings in there, and there's some caulk, but that is all deteriorated away, and you're going to have significant problems with this deck moving.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. Okay, we're here at the house with Dean, and Dean's going to check the garage for us.
First thing I do is I walk up. Obviously, you can see there's no step. Railing on the steps. You may just want to let your client know that they may hit their hand opening up the door. Looking around, there is no GFI. Then we had some prior water staining at the garage roof. There is no safety lanyard on the trolley. As we're looking around, you can see the vines that have been growing on the building has caused some little water intrusion at the sill plate and the siding.
Okay, so the otherwise structure looks pretty good. You got your sill plate bolts, things like that.
Yep.
But these are the common things that you look at to see if a garage is good.
Yep.
Okay, great. Sounds good, Dean. Thanks. Okay, we're in the kitchen on the second floor unit, and Jenny is going to tell us what she looks for during an inspection of the electrical panel and what deficiencies are there.
So normally we're looking for breakers that are double tapped, neutrals that are double tapped, neutrals and grounds that are double tapped on the buses over here on the side. In this panel, we have a couple of complaints. The first complaint I have is that we have these conductors up here. They look like they might be 14 gauge. I did check them and they aren't hot, but they should be capped. Somebody cut them off way too short up there in that box. The other thing is that if you ever see a conductor coming into a box like this and it doesn't have a bushing on it like this one here, then that can allow that wire or conductor to chafe over the years and can give you some big problems. So we always need a bushing.
And Jenny, the reason you say that should be covered is because even though it's not energized now, there could be a switch or something somewhere.
Exactly.
It could be live.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Great.
So, and then the other thing we want to cry about is this little doodad down here. This is not seated properly in the box. That really should be mounted correctly in the box. Another thing we're looking for is corrosion in the panel, because electricity and corrosion do not go well together, and it doesn't allow electricity to conduct well. It impedes it, so that's something else you're going to want to look for. Look for rust on these screws. Look for drip marks. That's another one. Look for drip marks on these service entrance conductors as they're coming in. Now we are in a 2-unit establishment. So one of the things as well that you would want to look for is a main shutoff, which this box does not have a main shutoff. If you have more than 6 throws in the panel, you're required to have a main shutoff so that you're able to just flip that switch, one shot deal, and you kill the power to the whole house. I don't know about where you're at, but where I'm from, our local electric company back in the day in the 60s would give you a discount on your electrical bill if you had your house broke up into sections where I throw this breaker, it kills the bedrooms. I throw this breaker, it turns on the living room. So the idea was at night when you went to bed, you killed the power to the kitchen and the living room and all the living areas. And then during the day, you would kill the power to the bedrooms. And if you had your panel set up like that, they would give you a discount on your electrical bill.
Interesting.
So, yeah, so we'll catch up with you on the flip side.
Okay, so we'll look downstairs at the next unit a little later.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Jenny.
You're
Perfect.
welcome.
Okay, George, what do we got here?
So what we have here is a 90-plus furnace, which we take our combustion air into the furnace and we exhaust out through the same venting to the exterior. We do not have a dedicated gas shutoff to this furnace, and that we also have a extension on the drip blade here, and that we have a shutoff that is not within sight. It's not reachable for the furnace in the event of a safety issue that we need to shut it down. And that we do have on the flue exhaust up there, we do have a leak, a condensate and flue leak up on the top of the exhaust pipe. Basically.
What about the door?
Oh, we don't have a sealed door where we have a natural gas furnace within a bedroom area. We should have a fire-rated, totally weather-stripped door.
Okay. Now, did you say something about the condensate dripping out of the furnace?
The condensate line here doesn't have a P-trap because the condensate line goes straight back into the wall to the plumbing vent.
Really?
So we should have a condensate drain here to stop any sewer gas or anything coming back into the unit, which would distribute out through the space.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir.